Howdy, folks. I'm a slow, slacking slug.
I'm Amber.
And here's some slimy Reddit. I don't know. That really sounds weird.
It does. I think that's another subreddit you're looking for.
All right, folks. Our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Messing Over All the People Who Donated Their Time and Money? The PTA has been planning a fundraiser for months to raise money for new cheerleader uniforms. The old uniforms are very outdated, and all of the kids are excited about getting new ones, including mine. Early in the planning, I agreed that my property could be used at no cost for the event, and that I would be providing all of the furnishings. Other people worked hard on buying/making items to be sold at the fundraiser. Some people spent upwards of hundreds of hours and or dollars for the event. At a recent meeting, the football coach said that the equipment was badly worn out and needed to be replaced ASAP. A vote was held and a majority voted that this fundraiser would be for the football team instead of the cheerleaders. I was mad. Football is always the top priority. I went above and beyond here specifically to help out the cheerleading team. My child and all of her friends on the team got their hopes up only to be dashed. I told everyone my property would no longer be available for use and that they would need to find a new venue. People panicked and got very angry, including several people who voted against the change. They said that my decision was equivalent to throwing all of their hard work in the trash. I asked them how they thought the cheerleaders would feel. They said that it was a vote and that I was acting like a dictator, that I can't overrule the will of the majority. I said that they can do whatever they like, but not on my property. I know they won't be able to find a venue this late, especially not for an affordable price. I understand that I messed over my friends, burned some bridges, and I'm likely going to get kicked off the PTA, but I just can't bring myself to help them. Am I a spiteful jerk? This is like the literal definition of taking your ball and going home. Your football and going home. All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk? Or maybe justified?
Not the jerk. This fundraiser was for the cheerleaders. They've been planning it for months for the cheerleaders. The cheerleaders were told they were going to get new uniforms. And then football coach swoops in last minute. Like, I am sick and tired of schools that prioritize football over all else. And honestly, it's such a dangerous sport. We really shouldn't be encouraging kids to play it in the first place.
Or there needs to be more funding towards making sure that this is a much safer type of sport where people aren't going to be able to get concussions and whatnot. But I think that the big problem with football are the concussions and the traumatic brain injuries. And that's really problematic because I've known people who play football, and I just feel like they had a lot of potential, but they ended up really having a lot of damage done, and it really hurt their prospects in life. And I think that that's actually really sad, right? It's for people to kind of have livelihoods and prospects kind of dashed because of something like this. So I think it's I think it's a entertaining sport, and I certainly don't think that we should take away people's ability to watch a sport, but I do think it needs to be a much safer sport for people to enjoy. So that's kind of my feeling. But what we really should be focusing on, like everyone else in this post, is the cheerleaders.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's also, cheerleading is a legitimate sport, and it can be really intense, and it's a great sport for a lot of people, and, you know, it's really frustrating to see it get pushed aside as that's not a real sport, it's not important, and so it's just...
I think that is an issue that they're pushing the cheerleaders aside, especially last minute. If this hadn't been last minute and they had been planning it for like 6 months ahead of time, saying that, look, we need to change this now, but it just really feels like the football coach was just kind of slimy here and, you know, wormed his way into here, and it's like, we really need new football things, because he saw how big of a fundraiser this was, and he decided just to kind of take it over, which I think is a problem. I really do think is problematic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that you're the jerk, OP. Take care and good luck. And funny 247365 says, "You're the jerk. If you had a child on the football team, you would be okay with the change. Football is the main reason your child can be a cheerleader in the fall. Football players need quality gear for safety more than anything. Cheerleaders need uniforms for appearances only. Football gear is used by the whole team. A cheerleader uniform is worn by one person. Football also brings the most revenue from concessions and ticket sales. Easy decision by the PTA." And
Gross.
yeah, notice how far they're voted down. Apparently we have a very big football fan here. I think that this is problematic because cheerleading on its own is its own sport.
I mean, cheerleaders can cheer on, first of all, you don't need a sport to cheer for. There are cheerleading competitions where you show off your moves.
That's what I mean. Yeah, it's its own sport.
But secondly, cheerleaders can cheer any team as well.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be football. They're just cheering on the school, and anyone can school cheer. Like, you don't need a sport to do it.
What they're kind of missing out here is that these cheerleader uniforms can be reused from year to year. So just like football uniforms can be reused from year to year.
Exactly. Like, that's the thing, is like probably the students have like assigned helmets each year that they're using and stuff like that. It's not like they're swapping everything around, so it's really not any different.
Yeah. And OP replies, "Cheerleading doesn't rely on football. It's its own sport. In fact, since I've never seen a football player at a cheerleading competition, but I've seen cheerleaders at every football competition, I'd say you have it backwards." And Helio Morris says, "Not the jerk. I say that they can do what they like, but not on my property." You're right. The PTA may vote to redirect the funds and change the purpose of the fundraiser. However, you have the right to reconsider your contribution because your offer was contingent upon a fundraiser for the cheerleading outfits, not the football team. They said that it was a vote and that I was acting like a dictator and that I can't overrule the majority. Acting like a dictator, it's your property. You didn't try to overrule the will of the majority. You withdrew your contribution due to a change of circumstances. The entitlement of some people is astounding.
Mm-hmm.
All right, folks, our next letter is titled, "Am I a jerk for punishing my son for a harmless prank that he's pulling? My apologies for this throwaway account. I'm going to try to keep this post as short as possible. I have 3 kids. The oldest is at university, so it's just me, my wife, and them, a 16-year-old male and an 11-year-old female. All of my kids are children who have been raised well, and they've grown to be people that I'm proud to call my own. My son recently had some friends over, and things were going fine. I went upstairs at one point to bring them a pizza that they had ordered when I overheard my son talking about how his friends owed him something for asking a girl out in their class as a prank. From what I gathered, the girl was someone his friends didn't deem attractive enough, and a load of other BS. I decided to talk to my son about this after his friends had left to save him from embarrassment. I did raise my voice a little bit, but that was due to how maddening the situation was. The same thing had happened to my cousin when we were younger, and I saw how the whole thing affected her as she took on new relationships. My son argued back that it was just a prank, that it didn't hurt anyone, and that I was going against him by listening to his friends' private conversations, and said that while he felt sorry for my cousin, he was mature enough to understand that not to pull the prank any further. I didn't listen to any of the other excuses that he gave and decided just to ground him for 2 weeks. He said that I shouldn't have any say in this whole thing when it had nothing to do with me. My wife claims that boys will be boys and that it's something that was harmless. When I asked her how she would feel if this was played on our daughter, she simply said that wouldn't happen because she has good genes.
Ugh.
Mother-in-law and father-in-law are blowing up the family group chat about how I'm hurting their baby for normal teenage boy behavior. So am I the jerk? If I'm being too nosy about an act that had nothing to do with me, I will take back my son's grounding. All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk, and thank you for being a good parent here, OP. Like, what your son did is not harmless.
Yeah.
As you witnessed with your cousin's example, this could hurt the girl's self-esteem indefinitely and give her trauma in future relationships.
Yeah, I think that this was very cruel. You shouldn't ask someone out that you're not interested in. Like that. I think this is just a mean-spirited, cruel prank. And it's not even a prank. I wouldn't even say it's funny. It's not a joke. It's just being a bully, really, at the end of the day. Being like, haha, you really thought you were good enough for me? And honestly, she's probably a perfectly nice individual. And they're being very shallow and horrible individuals.
And I'm really concerned about the wife's attitude here. Like,
Oh,
boys will be boys. First of all, it's never an excuse for things. And secondly, like, oh, well, we don't have to worry about this happening to our daughter because she has good genes. Like,
yeah, good genes? Wow. That's just gross.
it is so gross. It's like, people deserve respect and dignity regardless of what they look like.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't say it any better than that. So, yeah, OP, you are not a jerk. And everyone, you're surrounded by jerks, though. That's for sure.
Yeah, you really are. And I don't know what even to do about your wife. Like, counseling, maybe. Like, I don't know. There's something really wrong with her and her parents. Like,
yeah. Well, I don't know if their parents share this perspective.
It says mother-in-law and father-in-law are blowing up the family group chat.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, just about the good genes thing. Like, certainly the boys will be boys is problematic, but in that, there's so many problematic pieces. It's hard to say which is the more horrifying. So, anyhow, take care and good luck. And Neely Silverleaf says, not the jerk, your son is a bully and your wife sounds like a piece of work. And Book Dragon 345 says, agreed, as someone who was asked out as a prank and still has scars from it 20 plus years later, not the jerk. OP, this was not a harmless prank. I guarantee that the girl that he was talking to won't find it funny. Please, please don't back down. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she's got an invisible joke book.
Knock, knock.
Oh, this is revenge, isn't it? She's come to my door. She's come to my door, and I will not answer it. Will I meet my fate? Will I meet my doom? That's Amber. She's scraping on the microphone because apparently the doors now sound like... nobody is here. Come back later. Come back with a pizza.
Knock, knock.
Still nobody here, please.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Bean.
I didn't order beans, I ordered a pizza.
Meow. That's why I was scratching, because my brother's cat's name is Bean, so I was...
Is that it?
No.
Beans who?
Been there, done that.
That's gotta be like the top 10 worst knock knock jokes. It's a terrible knock knock joke. And I have Mega Mint. Amber's just looking at me incredulously. Alright, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks so much for watching. Happy Friday. We made it to the end of the week. Thank goodness for that, because it has been a wild ride. I don't know about you folks. Amber, I guess we're gonna need some moral guidance from somebody who tells knock-knock jokes. Can you give me some moral guidance, but have it involve cheer in some form?
Don't grouse. It's not your house. You may say that football's king, but bullies don't get to win. I don't know.
I like it. I think it works. That's a good chant for a moral. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you all tomorrow.
Bye.